off. I can't believe you've done this to me. Never in a million years did I think I was going to have to do a sit-down YouTube video on how I got cut from a TV show and found out the day before. But here I am. If you're here, you want to know what happened about me going onto a show called Bake Off an Extra Slice. And I'm pretty sure most people probably start these like this. Oh, I wasn't going to do this, but no, I wasn't going to do it. And then hindsight is a wonderful thing. My internal sense of justice is so ridiculously strong. I have to speak my truth. So let's go back to a few weeks ago. Back to Wednesday, the 8th of October. I was just minding my own business when my very wonderful, very lovely talent manager sends me a message saying, Hannah, are you free for a quick call? Don't worry if you're busy being a corporate boss. I wasn't busy being a corporate boss. I was on my lunch break. Bake Off an Extra Slice had got in contact and asked if I wanted to be on Bake Off an Extra Slice. Usually, if you go on an Extra Slice, you apply for a position as a home baker, and you go through like a casting call, etc. I think I started doing a series on Instagram and TikTok called Butchering Bake Off, where I would bake the technical challenge from the Great British Bake Off every week as an inexperienced baker. I literally have, as of today, 12 weeks of baking experience. I had said numerous times that my dream was to go on to Stand Up to Cancer Bake Off. I'm a cancer survivor. I had cancer when I was younger, and I felt like that would be an amazing way to raise awareness, particularly for childhood cancer. Obviously, I said absolutely yes, 100%, count me in. And then I had a call with one of the casting producers and my agency. Feedback that I got was, we've seen your series, we love it. And I specifically asked one very important question. Can I talk about the show and being on it? And I was told, yeah, absolutely, you can, but you can't show the cake that you're making. Now, at this point, I had two ideas for cakes. Number one are those absolutely horrific cakes that you see that just look like a mess, but they're so funny. Idea number two was to do something Halloween themed, because the show date that I was going to be on, it was airing on Halloween. And I had a few weeks to plan. So after I was explicitly told that I could say that I was going to be on the show, I thought, well, let me not say anything too soon. As the weeks go on, I'm in planning mode. I'm waking up at like 3 o'clock in the morning being like, what flavors should I do? And I don't know why I felt like it was really important to get the flavors right, but I wanted to make sure that I was doing myself justice. I was going to be on TV, on national TV. And it was for something that meant so much to me. I didn't want to make it a joke. I wanted to really try my absolute hardest that I could. Now, I've never made a cake before, like a proper cake, layers, etc., tiers. And I really wanted to make as much effort as I possibly could. I then had a follow-up call, and on the follow-up call, again, I was talking about the cake that I was going to do, and I was kind of being almost not persuaded, but I was definitely sensing that there was a direction that the producers wanted me to go in. And so they were saying things like, oh, could you maybe do like a fondant version of yourself? Or could you think of like way of incorporating like a fondant? Like, we like it when people bring it all back to the show. And I was like, well, if we want it to be about the show, my entire online presence is the show. It's Butchering Bake Off for right now. Like, I have a lot of hobbies. I try a lot of things. I do a lot of side quests because I have raging unmedicated ADHD and adult funds, and I like to try new things. So I'm like, yeah, I could try and make like fondant versions of myself, and maybe I could make fondant versions of my dogs. And then I had the idea to make teeny tiny fondant versions of all of the technical challenge bakes that I had done. I put my whole cake hussy into this cake. I made a 2-tiered cake in Bake Off colours. It was like a pastel green and in a pastel blue. And I did vintage piping. I did a miniature fondant of my sausage dog. I did a large fondant of my big dog. And I did a fondant version of myself. Cake was an Earl Grey cardamom and orange blossom and an Earl Grey and yuzu sponge. I was really thinking about how I could make this cake taste good. No one was going to eat the cake. At no point on any of these calls did I get the feeling that they weren't happy for me to talk about butchering Bake Off, or they weren't happy for me to go in that direction. Flash forward to the day of filming. I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I feel horrendous. I don't know whether it was my heart condition or some stomach issues that I'm currently going through at the moment. I felt so ill. Parents drove my husband and I into central London, and I remember being in the car and not being able to talk to anyone. I felt like I owed it to myself to make sure that this cake that was sitting in 2 separate cake boxes, because I had to put it together in the studio, made it onto TV. I think it would be safe to say that I've never been more proud of myself, not just for showing up, but for the cake that I made. Like, I wish you could see the cake. There on the day, my husband and I met with the 2 of the producers, one of the producers who had invited me onto the show and another producer who was sort of interviewing us, like taking notes. All that I was being told is this cake was great, it was amazing. And then I got asked, would you be able to really quickly share with us an edit of you doing the technical challenges, because we're going to put it into the show? And I was like, oh my God, yeah. Ed. I was Ed. Which, yeah, get it, busy day. So I didn't think anything of it. Link never accessed. Never downloaded. And I thought that was kind of strange at the time, but I wasn't really thinking about it. I was like, oh, maybe they're just not going to use the footage. Just keep that in mind. Completely honest and tell you that there, in all of the correspondence, there is something that says, there's no guarantee that you'll make the cut. On the day we went to the green room, we were told there's most likely definitely going to be enough time for everyone to say, you're definitely going to make it onto the show. After the show finished, one of the runners came up to me and one of the producers and said, the cake looked so good on camera. But what I didn't know is someone then came up to my husband and said, we'll send you an email and let you know if you made the cut. So they didn't tell me that. They specifically went and said that to my husband. And he told me afterwards, and I was like, oh, that's weird. Maybe it's just like a formality or something, but it'll be fine. They told us earlier that we were, and we got invited on. Like, there's no way that they'd invite us only to cut us. I posted an Instagram post promoting the show because I was told that it was absolutely fine to say that I was going to go onto the show, but not to show the cake. So I didn't show the cake. I didn't show the process of making the cake. I literally just posted that I was going to be on the show, bringing attention to the show. Now, at this current point in time, that post has 144,000 views. But I don't get an inkling that anything is wrong, other than the fact that I've been aired. Thursday the 30th of October, from a person who was not the person that I'd been in contact with throughout this entire process. Thanks again. We really did think you were great. Not everyone who came on Saturday can make the edit for no other reason than time. You invite me onto the show and then cut me from the show. Why tell me before that I can post on social media and then it's not fine to post anything? But I didn't know that until the day before. In fact, I recall telling the producers when I got there, oh, I just put a little post up on Instagram about being on the show. And they were absolutely fine with that. I'm disappointed, obviously, but I get it. You've got to roll with the punches. I had a lot of feelings about it, but none of them were like, oh, fuck you, Bake Off. Like, I can't believe you've done this to me. Nothing of the sort. My only emotion was, I literally laughed. I literally fully hysterically laughed. It's hilarious. Like, imagine baking a 2-tiered cake, being told you can't show any of the process of making this cake, and then no one gets to see it. You are not allowed to have your phone inside the studio at all. In fact, they watch you turn your phone off, and you're not allowed to go further into the studio until you have turned that phone off. And they specifically say, don't worry, we have photographers who will take photos of you and your cake. So I'm thinking, okay, Wonderful. So I had the photo taken. Since the show has aired, I'm down to 1 tick on the WhatsApp number that I was given to contact the producers. I don't have a single photograph, and now I'm on 1 tick. It's not even being delivered. They won't give me the photos of the cake. Agency have also emailed them to ask them for photos of the cakes. And then to add absolute insult to all of the injury, on the day that the show aired on the 31st of October, I get a DM from the casting team saying how much they love Butchering Bake Off and asking me if I could promote the applications. Listen, I know some of you are going to be here right now being like, well, that's just what happens, which is valid. So totally valid. Contrary to probably how this will come across. I'm not upset that I didn't get aired. I'm upset that I can't show my cake. Just so I can show my mum. I show my mum every single one of my bakes. Every single one. That's one of the things that you all love about when I do my Butchering Bake Off series. I call my mum and I'm like, look what I've made. I can't show my mum my cake. And that makes me really sad. I'd love to look back on that and be like, wow, this is such an incredible thing. I'm sure people are going to be like, well, you're just whining about it. Being neurodiverse, having ADHD, and suspectedly having autism, even though it's less suspect and more probably most likely a guarantee. My internal sense of justice is very strong. I don't like being lied to. I don't like someone telling me something and me taking it as a truth or a fact, and then it being me perceiving it as a lie. And that is something that I've had therapy for, and I've worked on that. It's just the way that my brain is. Take what someone says as truth, and maybe that is part of being having to navigate in a neurodiverse body in a neurotypical world where people say things to placate people. I don't really do that, and I don't like it when people do that to me because I don't really understand what's truth and what's not truth. I'd rather just not be told things that people think I want to hear. The way that my brain works is, well, I was lied to. In hindsight, if I knew that there was a really good chance that I wasn't going to be on the show, I probably wouldn't have gone to the effort that I did go to with the cake. I wouldn't have spent so much time thinking about the flavours. I wouldn't have probably spent as much money as I did. Maybe I should have just done my original idea of the really funny cake. I didn't want people to think that I wasn't taking it seriously, because it's something that is really serious to me. So how did I go from being invited onto the show and finding out that I was cut the day before it aired? I'm unsure, to be completely honest. One of my friends was like, what did you say? I said I was going to apply for Bake Off. So that's how I got kicked off of a TV show that I got invited onto the day before it aired. I don't think you'll be seeing me on Bake Off anytime soon. Have the best day.